wanted to pay me in beer. And after 4 months, I'm like, hey, look, guys, I like your beer, I like your product, but I need money
Some
coming in.
money.
So yeah, so it's a business. You have to be a businessman. And nothing is handed to me. Every opportunity, every guest that's come on my show, I've had to reach out. And some of these podcasters, they have their next door neighbors and friends on, and they don't put in the work. And I don't want to be stereotyped like that. I actually don't like the word podcaster. I like to use the word live streaming talk show, because I really take every show seriously, like I'm auditioning for radio, and I make sure I do my homework on my guests. I print out their bios and I read their bios, and I want to learn about my guests. And that way, my guests come on, they're like, hey, this guy's been doing his homework. The guests really appreciate it when you do your homework.
I agree. I agree. That's something I'm aspiring to, that you showed me. You did your homework when it came to me. You were asking me so many questions. And I even had some of my business professional women on when you interviewed me. And I think they were impressed by your professionalism. And so that was my takeaway. I'm gonna open up. So we are live now on Facebook. Tap in with Ricky and Nikki. And today, what we're doing once a month is what we call glow time. So I thought it was really important to highlight people who I see are taking it to the next level. We all are inspired by the superhero, the ordinary person that's stepping it up, working on themselves. No, we're not perfect, but we are working on ourselves. And so I met Chris Pomay along the way here. And I want to say, Chris, you are my newest friend, right? I don't make a lot of friends. Most of my friends have been my friends over 20 years, but I'm going to adopt you. And I've never been to Canada, but I'm coming. And so I got a whole lot of questions for you. Rich, you better wake up. So we are continuing the end, Rich. I mean, Chris, with the obstacle is the way. So I talked about the obstacle is the way last week while I was in DC. And it's an amazing book. It's the sequel to Ego is an Enemy. But some of your experience that I did research, you told me about your divorce from your previous career. We'll get into that, Chris. If that had not happened, would you be here right now? So I want you to marinate on that. I'm gonna get Rich talking, and then in 2 minutes, I'm gonna do a wonderful introduction for you, Chris. But Rich, you told me you read The Obstacle is the Way. So we were just talking about, Chris, sometimes things happen in our life. They feel like the worst thing ever, like a divorce. However, if those things had not happened, would we have had the muscle or even the desperation, like you said, to go to somebody and say, hey, you know what? Beer is not enough. I believe what I'm bringing is value, and I need you to respect that. I can do volunteer work all day, but I can't starve either. And so if I'm bringing value, if I'm showing up on time, if I'm prepared, if I've invested in my tools, then at the same time, that's worth some compensation. Rich, I want you to come on in, tap in. Are you woke? Tap in and tell me about the obstacle is the way. What is your takeaway as we get into our guest today? Tell me what is important to you as we all need to look at how is the obstacle the way for you?
There were some very powerful points during that book that I went over, and I thought it was very, very um, powerful points that you can use as an average person in your life. And some of the points that I feel akin to is like one of I mentioned to you earlier, perception. And I think that's one of my secret superpowers is perception, because with the obstacle, you see a challenge that may be overwhelming. And it's all based on your perception, because for most things, there's only two choices. Either one, you don't know how to do a thing, and the challenge is for you to learn how to do it, which means we all start at ground zero, just like if we were toddlers learning how to walk. You don't come out here walking, you learn, and you fall a lot before you actually succeed. But nobody ever remembers that while they were falling down, they kept getting back up and kept walking and kept moving forward until they finally could walk like all the other people that was around them. But when we become adults, it becomes crazy because we believe that everything we try right off the bat should succeed. And if it doesn't succeed in the time limit that we've prescribed for our success, we give up and we become frustrated and we become angry and disappointed, and then we quit. Where when we were toddlers, none of those thoughts, those words did not exist in our heads. Nobody could convince us that we were not going to walk. All we knew is that everyone around us was doing it and that we should do it as well. And we got up, we held on to the table, to mom's skirt, to the chairs, but we eventually walked. Even though we fell, we cried, we got up, we tried again and again and again. And I would really ask people to go back to their childhood and remember how many times you fell before you actually could walk. And then another major point was that we don't look at adversity as a blessing. Sometimes we need adversity to make us the person that we were going to be all the time if we didn't have to face the adversity. What I mean by that is by this. Some of the greatest people that you've known in your life, if they did not have a setback to have a set up for the comeback, they would have done nothing. They would have just stayed in the mire and never come out. But most of the times, the bigger the obstacle that's in your way and your willingness to overcome that obstacle creates the blessing or the glory or whatever term you want to use that makes you who you are. And I think we have a lot of superheroes walking around that they forgot that they were supposed to overcome the kryptonite, and that's why they're still not the superheroes that they're supposed to be. What do you think?
I like how you just passed that over. What do you think?
You see how that works? You see how that works?
I think you made a really good point. Like, whatever you call it, who taught us how to give up, right? Like I said, I really like when you said the 2-year-old.
Hold on, say that again slow.
The 2-year-old doesn't know how to give up. The 2-year-old only knows I want it, and the 2-year-old keeps asking for it until they get it, right? They keep reaching, they keep crying, they keep throwing. Where did we learn how to give up? So I was doing a reading this week that was saying, imagine you had a partner who every time you felt good, they told you, you're no good. If they told you that 100 times, out of your desire to connect with them, you might level down and stop trying, in a sense, to please them. Where did we learn? Who was the critic in our life? Where did we learn that we were not deserving to ask for what we want? Right? So like, I love doing volunteer work, but where did it happen that I couldn't ask for money where it was reasonable for me to do so? Where did that happen? Right? So where did it happen when, like with Chris, I'm so admiring of you're on time, you're prepared, right? You're professional, you're respectful, you're listening, you've taken your notes, you've done the promos. That is amazing to me. It's something so, on one level, you may think it's ordinary, but it's so profound because I meet so many people on the daily that fall short of their own glory. Just someone saying, Nikki, I'll meet you for a meeting, and they're already 10 minutes late. I mean, I'm not mad at them, but yes, sometimes I'm a little disappointed because I realize that they don't believe, they're sabotaging their own success. So if someone called me and say, hey, Nikki, I want you to coach me, and I'm there 10 minutes early, and they're texting me 10 minutes later, like, hey, I don't know how to get on. It kind of hurts my heart because it indicates to me, and I could remember that being me, but I know exactly where they are. It means that they don't believe that it's real. And so I want to know with you, Chris, I'm gonna bring Chris on with my amazing introduction. And we're just having authentic talk today, right? You're the superhero in authenticity. And it's what we love, right? When I came back into the social media space, and I grew up in the MySpace era, right? When social media just meant social, and then it was just BS about music. I don't know. And I was like, I'm not doing that. And my ego was the enemy. And now I reintroduced myself and I said, well, you're really slipping on yourself and you're really sabotaging yourself. And I was like, okay, let's get back into it and let's bring everybody that we can into what you were describing, Rich, into success. Just mean meeting the goals that you set for yourself, meeting the challenges that you desire for yourself. So this is, Chris is probably the realest person I've met in the last 3-4 years. And so I want to bring him on as special as I can. But our Glow Time guest this evening, I believe, is a passionate storyteller. He's an interviewer and he's a full-time content creator. He produces and hosts 3 dynamic talk shows that bring both sports and non-sports conversations to life. His platforms span YouTube, Facebook, Threads, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok, reaching audiences worldwide under the handle at Live with CDP. His career highlights include covering the CFL's Toronto Argonauts, the Buffalo Bisons, and the Buffalo Bandits, along with the 2023 Grey Cup in Hamilton and the 2024 NFL Draft in Detroit, and multiple Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame inductions. He has conducted in-depth interviews with me and industry leaders and sports icons such as Dan Schultzman, Buck Martinez, Chuck Swirsky, Rob Smith, Jason Dunn, and 4-time Stanley Cup champion Darren McCarty. He is boldly pivoting into the radio industry, building on years of freelance media coverage, live production, and his growing reputation as a trusted voice for engaging, authentic conversations. His shows, Live with CDP Sports, an entertainment talk show, Argo Bounce, live audio show, and Small Talk podcast stand as proof of his commitment to creating meaningful media that informs and entertains. He is sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet, and he is the creator behind it all, Mr. Chris Pomay. Rich, help me give him a warm welcome, and we're going to start tearing Chris up with some questions. Come on, let's go. Yes.
Yay.
Chris,
That's
I
an
hope you're ready.
introduction now. Yeah. Hercules.
Hercules, get ready. So we got our, where's my hair? Come on.
That was amazing.
For anybody that's in our chat, turn that down. If anybody's in our Facebook today, Facebook is going to just cut me out, Chris. Tell us where you're from, and if you have any questions as we go on, when we slow down with Chris, we will take your questions from the chat. So, Chris, welcome. I know I'm kind of ADHD, but we want to start with, I am enthralled with you. I hope I'm not going too far. But I do want you to start, and you've told me this, but I'd like you to tell our guests, how did you start in this content creation space, and what happened in your life that brought that to fruition? How did you start with the content creation?
Well, first of all, I want to say hello, Nikki and Richard, and thank you for having me on your podcast show tonight. And I'm happy to be here. And how I started this journey 6 years ago, basically started through volunteer work. I was doing some volunteer work with a local semi-pro basketball team. They needed a camera operator, and I'm like, I've never done broadcasting or camera work in my life. So they brought me up, they showed me how to do camera work, and at the end of the game, they actually paid me for it, and then they referred me to a local TV company to do some volunteer work as a camera operator. And after doing camera work for a while, during the pandemic, I told one of the producers, I'm going to start up my own podcast show. This is something I want to do. The producer kind of smirked and smiled at me in a non-believing way. And I basically started up my show in March of 2020. It was actually originally called Chris's Corner on Instagram Live only. And I wasn't very good, but I had a friend who I met through a bus trip, and he works for TSN. He kept believing in me. He just kept telling me, keep coming on, keep doing your shows, be yourself. And it took 4 or 5 months, and I finally got my first guest, Christine Barger, an actress from Los Angeles and a female ventriloquist, to come on my show. And now I've done well over 600 episodes with over 1,300 interviews. And I got a taste of the broadcasting bug through my volunteer work. And I was in the right place at the right time. And I was 47 at the time of my change and now 53. And by the way, before I had my work divorce, I was already doing this before my work divorce I came. And I'm going to be honest, Nikki, my other career in security, I did it for over 2 decades, and I'm very thankful for it. I think it helped me prepare for this because when you're in security, in a casino gambling environment, you deal with rich people, you deal with poor people, you deal with people with mental health issues, you deal with people that have alcohol or substance abuses. So I had to learn how to to speak to people, and also how to listen. As much as talking is important, listening skills, talking, communication, having empathy skills, I learned from that job. And yeah, so a couple years before I did do my work divorce, I already started the process. And now I am once a month now, I'm speaking at local high schools to high school kids about the importance of careers, but you don't have to pick one career when you're in high school and that's it for the rest of your life. And education is important in the classroom, but being self-taught and education outside the classroom never stops. So you're never too old to continue to learn. And I love what I'm doing, and I do feel my former career in security prepared me for this. And it's not been an easy road, but this is something I'm passionate about, and I take pride in every person I have on my show. And when I first started asking people to come on my show, I figured no way they'll come on, and they did. Like Dan Schumann from the Toronto Blue Jays, ESPN, and I've had the Philly Fanatic on, and I just basically have worked, and everything I've had for opportunities, Nikki, I've had to work for and earn. Nothing's been given to me, and I also had one gentleman from the Toronto Raptors 5 years ago. His name's Eric Smith. He came on my show, and when I first started doing this, everything was scripted and prepared. And Eric told me, he gave me some advice as a broadcaster. He said, Chris, it's okay to write points and questions down, but people don't want it scripted. They want national flooring conversations. And Eric Smith, to this day, I keep in touch with, and he was such impact on my career just by giving me that advice. And half the time now, when I do write questions down or prepare them, I don't even use them. And I also, Eric told me too, listening. Sometimes when you listen to your guests, you can find out more about them. And sometimes you don't need to re-ask them questions they've already answered. So for me, for podcasting, just basically national conversation and listening. And Chuck Swirsky from the Chicago Bulls gave me some advice too. When you're doing your show, podcast, talk show, TV show, whatever, when you get guests coming on, do your homework. The guests really appreciate that, and they will even open up to you more knowing that you're willing to put your time and effort into it. So I've had some guests give me some good advice, feedback over the years, and I've applied it, and I think I've improved since March of 2020. If you go on my YouTube channel, you'll see some of my early shows, and I think I've come a long ways, but I still have more to learn and to keep improving upon and never get complacent. And I always want to get feedback from my guests because the only way you get better as a professional in any career, I'm not saying you have to listen to everyone's feedback, but be open to feedback and to learning and keep learning. And my other career at the end, I wasn't learning, and I was just at the end, it was time for a work divorce. And but I am grateful because it did help me find a new career. And age is just a number, by the way. I tell people, don't judge people by age. And I'm going to be honest with you, Nikki and Richard. When I was in security, I used to judge the younger people. Oh, they're lazy, they're whatever. And basically, I've been in media now for 6 years, and I work with a lot of younger people. And a lot of the younger people in media, they don't care about my age. They don't care that I'm self-taught. They're really good with me. I pick their brains from their schooling part of it, and then they pick my brains from my life experiences. So don't ever judge someone by their age, whether they're in their 20s or they're in their 60s and 70s, and always keep an open mind as well.
Yes, I agree. Rich was talking earlier. Rich, are you still with us? We were talking about perception, and I want to go further. One of my first questions for you, and based on what you said, so from what you said, what would you say? I know you worked with the CFL as well as the NFL and just and non-sports interviewees. From the lessons you've learned and the people you talk to, what would you say is your most memorable or educational um, interview or interviewee that you've had?
I would say probably Eric Smith and Chuck Swirsky. Chuck Swirsky's been the voice of the Bulls for 18 years. He's been in the media industry for 40 years in Toronto, Chicago, and Detroit. And Eric Smith does the Blue Jays games now on radio and the Raptors. And both of them went to school for this, but they also gave me some good advice. And basically, they came on and gave me some advice and suggestions, and I've applied it. And I think with the interviews too is be yourself, but always make sure the focus is on your guests. And I try to do that with every show. I'm the host, and my job's to ask questions, but it's the guest's job to be a storyteller. Buck Martinez, who's the voice of the Toronto Blue Jays on Sportsnet here, and he played Major League Baseball for 25 years. He gave me some advice during an interview too. He's like, always make sure, Chris, when you do an interview virtually or in person, that your guests like to talk. And I did have one guest a few years ago, a five-time women's boxing champion, Mia St. John's. Good person. She came on my show. I thought, oh, this will be a piece of cake. She's a women's boxer. She'll open up. And she really didn't for the first half an hour. She was kind of not cold towards me, but and then I asked her a question and she opened right up to me. And at the end of the show, we started to build a rapport. So just I would give advice to any podcasters out there. Don't assume when you have a guest on, they're automatically going to be a talker. And also too, you don't want people on your show that aren't sure. For me, it's either yes or no. If somebody says maybe, not sure, we'll get back to you. Don't push them, leave them, let them come back to you. I've had a number of guests that originally told me no or maybe I'm not sure, and then they've checked out my work and they've come back. So keep an open mind and never assume, and always make sure your guests feel comfortable on here. I've had a guest telling me from a hockey team, there was a couple of incidents with players and he said, Chris, I'll come on, but I can't talk about these player situations. And I completely agreed with him and he appreciated that. I don't want to try to make a name for myself through my guests, and I want my guests to feel comfortable on here and to build a rapport with them. And my job is to get them to share their stories and careers. And in most cases, I've had guests come back 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times on my show, as well as a lot of first time guests as well. And it takes years to build up a reputation, but it also takes seconds to destroy it. So you also have to make sure you do your homework on your guests as well.
So I know the years that from what I'm hearing is you've been working on this since 2020. Now we're in 2025, going on 2026. Is that correct? But I want to know,
Yes.
how did you decide what your niche, what your conversation would be about? I know it's sports and entertainment. Is it because you're an avid sports fan? How did you decide this is what I'm doing?
Originally it was sports, but then I thought I don't want to be stereotyped as a one trick pony. I want to separate myself from the rest of these podcasters. So I do sports. Sports is my first love, but I've interviewed lawyers, doctors, shrinks, psychiatrists, musicians, comedians, ventriloquists, anyone that has a story that they want to share on my show. So I'm most proud about my show is very diverse in guests and topics. And anyone who wants to come on my show, I've even had a transgender comedian come on. Anyone who had the story that wants to come on my show, they're welcome. My show is a welcoming place and a platform for people to come on no matter what.
I love that. I love that. But I want to ask you this. Okay, so we know we live in a climate, and I know in the US that is very politically charged right now. And so we have to decide, I guess we'll say, choose our battles. Um, what is the political climate like in Canada, and does that affect you at all as a podcaster? Do you feel at liberty to discuss anything, or do you feel a need to be careful in how you present certain topics?
I've made a decision myself. In the 700 show they've done, I've done maybe only one political show, and it was a good show. But I would tell podcasters maybe it's not a good thing. The reason why I would say I wouldn't do it again, it wasn't because of my guests, it's because I do have a sponsor and I'm also representing their brand. So if you're a podcaster, or you're a radio talk show host, and you want to do a political podcast, especially on US politics, you really need to think about it because every show that you do with your sponsor represents them. So my job as a talk show host is to do storytelling, but I'm also representing their company as a brand, and I want to protect my brand too. I can talk political stuff, but I've decided after the one experience, and it wasn't had nothing to do with my guest, I want to make sure I don't do anything to jeopardize my sponsorship from the company here in Canada as well. So I do very diverse shows, but I think I want to focus off on the politics. There's so much of it on the news right now. So I just want people to come on, give me an hour of their time, and be entertained. And I don't think I need to talk politics to prove that I'm diverse in this show. If you check out my YouTube channel, you check out my social media pages, you'll see how many people I've interviewed from different backgrounds and people from across the world. So I'm just giving you advice, and people do make mistakes. And I made a mistake too, getting into a political podcast show. But you know what? The only way you get better as a human being and in a career is to learn from your mistakes. And I'm just trying to help you new people out with their podcasts that if you have sponsorships, you have to be careful with not with what you say, but who you bring on and stuff like that. Because yeah, companies it takes years for companies to build up a brand. So you have to be aware of brand recognition from
Yes.
for sponsors for your show. And I'm trying to get more sponsors for my shows too. So I want these companies that are looking at me to say, "Hey, this guy's good. He doesn't get into the political stuff." And you know what? There's enough people out there doing political shows. So for me, I don't need to prove that I can do it. I know I can, but I'd rather just stay out of it. And I don't want my guests to come on based on their political views. I want them to come on and tell me their story and their careers. I don't want to know their political stuff. So that's how I'm trying to help others from my experiences.
Yes, I agree 100%. I think we all have our political views, but I think sometimes we can be more effective just being ordinary humans to each other,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah.
that's where we're stronger together and learning. Like, sometimes I worked in one city before. The mayor that I worked with, she said, Miss Baker, there's more than one way to skin a cat. Rich, are you still with us? I got way more questions for you, Chris. Rich,
I'm
are you
here. I'm listening
well, what is
intently. I am listening intently, waiting to jump in.
well, come on, tap in. Let me see you tap in. Tap, tap, tap in.
Well, Chris, I wanted to approach it from this vantage point on our nexus here, beginning as podcaster. We really had a discussion of trying to be as authentic as we could to our audience. And as Nikki mentioned earlier to you, that there's a lot of people that would like to do it, and you tapped into a point that I would like you to expound a little bit more upon. And it's the age and having the courage to start later in life in this career. Can you do that for me?
I just want to prove people wrong.
Oh, nice.
When I switched careers at 47, I had people telling me, "You're too old, you don't have the education, you can't do this, can't do that." I like proving people wrong, and to me, age is just a number, and I can create content as good as the younger generation, and you shouldn't judge people. And the reason why, I'm going to be honest here, and I'll say it on your show, the reason why traditional radio in Canada and in the States and probably some of the world's in trouble is because they're stuck back in the 50s and 60s and
Yes.
70s. Oh, you have to be in a radio, you have to go to school for this, you have to be in a station, you have to do all the coffee jobs to get your opportunity. And it's like, no, if you have the right equipment, you have the right equipment, but you also have to have the passion. You have to be willing to work hard. Nothing has been given to me. And some of these people that resent me, it's because I'm doing the work that they wouldn't do. And I'm putting myself out there. I've had a lot of successes, but I've also had setbacks. And when someone tells me no, I don't take it personally. It's a temporary setback. I don't believe in the word failure. And the thing is, live streaming is the future of radio. You can
Yes.
do radio from your own home with the right laptop, the right Wi-Fi, the internet, Ethernet cable, whatever equipment. And I've put in the work, and I've had some people give me a helping hand when I started this, but I've done this all on my own. And I'm really proud of myself for what I've done. I've reinvented myself. When I was much younger, Richard, I hated talking in high school, elementary school. I would avoid it like the plague. Now I'm very comfortable being on a camera and talking to people. I've had 10 people on my show. I've had 6 people on my show. I've had one. I also have done shows solo myself. So I just want people to say never judge someone based on their age, based on their education. Judge them based on their work ethic, their passion, and their character.
Ooh, I
So,
like that.
following up on that question, why do you think national radio and old radio are stuck in their ways so adamantly?
they um they uh they don't give people like myself a chance, and they don't realize live streaming is where it's at. And the thing
Mm,
is, I can interview as well as any of them, and in their attitude, some of them have said, "Well, you don't have the education. You got to be on a radio station serving coffee and donuts to the radio host. You have to be on the audio board, all this stuff." And it's like it's changed. Radio has evolved, and live streaming has changed everything. And I can, and also besides doing these virtual interviews, I have a little microphone with my phone, smartphone, and I do professional interviews in person as well. And I've reached out to pro sports teams and like the NFL, the Canadian Football League, and they like my work. And I'm building a good body of work. When people see me, they think professional, hardworking, he's passionate. And the thing is, I always believe in staying humble and hungry. No matter how successful you get, never let success change you. And the radio stations, I'm not against young people being on radio stations. It's the fact that just because I'm 53 doesn't mean I'm a liability. And that goes for anyone in their careers. There's been people in other careers I've interviewed that switched careers in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. So don't judge someone based on their age, based on their sex, or their skin color. Judge them based on their heart, their character, their personality, and work ethic. And I feel I have a strong work ethic and a passion for this. Every morning I wake up, I'm ready to look for new guests. And by the way, I'm wearing a hat, but I also wear 9 different hats. I'm not just a talk show host. I'm a producer, content creator. I edit video. I learned how to edit video on myself. Edit videos 2 years ago during Christmas. Learned how to do that. I've had to be a salesperson. I've had to market myself and promote myself, and social media as well. So I wear many different hats. It doesn't mean I'm the best at everything, but it means I'm willing to step out of my comfort zone. And a lot of people don't feel like they can do that nowadays.
I love
man,
that.
that's awesome.
That's
That's
so
awesome.
motivating to me because, Chris, that's something I think we both have in common. Like, you have to be all right with feeling inadequate. There's no way to succeed if you can't tap into that, right? So I want to know, when was your first time using social conferencing platform? So obviously, like I said, like Rich asked you, I worked in newspaper and I saw back then, that was in 2015. And I was telling them, like, this is about to go down, people, right? We got to go forward. And that's where the whole further, farther, faster comes from. I just got tired of telling people, but when did it click for you that this is the future? We have to go this way. When did that happen for you?
Probably 6 years ago when I got a taste of the broadcasting bug from doing
Oh,
volunteer work, which led to my camera work and
okay.
then led to my podcast. And I had some people help me out. I had one gentleman, Jamie Pagley, the Philly sports guy. He paints his face up. He's Philadelphia Eagles #1 fan. He'd been doing this for a couple years, and he gave me advice. He told me about StreamYard. He gave me some advice. He didn't help. He didn't like do stuff for me, but he gave me some feedback and he helped me out. And yeah, some of those people paid it forward to me with advice and some tips, and I'm trying to do that for new people as well. And by the way, never play small. You want to continue to grow. And my other job, I was kind of just wasn't growing. I was there for the money, and at the end, I was complacent. So you don't want to play small. You want to continue to grow and learn. And what I love about the media industry, is I'm constantly learning. And by the way, I'm a digital writer as well. I write game night stories. I might not be the best digital writer, but it's something that I feel like is a good tool for me. And for anybody that's watching this show right now, and you're looking to get into any new career, the more reps you do of whatever you're going into, the better you'll become. You don't want to get complacent, but the more reps, and you got to step out of your comfort zone. I've done that. And when I first did camera work 6 years ago, doing hockey games, and it's a high paced speed sport, I was scared and nervous, but being scared and nervous is okay. And there's some things where I've done where I didn't really enjoy it, but I still went through the experience of it. But there's days where I don't feel 100%. But when I come on to my show, or I'm doing my live interviews at the sporting events, as soon as I'm talking to somebody, the adrenaline kicks in. And there's sometimes where I'm done my show, I can't sleep for 4 or 5 hours because my adrenaline kicks in. I love what I'm doing. I enjoy it. And I just want to prove to the radio stations, who cares about being 53? Who cares about being self taught? I'm willing to do whatever it's necessary to be on radio. And the thing is, I could probably not, if I can get more sponsors on my live streaming show, I don't necessarily have to be in a radio station anymore. I can do it from here. And I just bought a new laptop, so I'm hopefully going to have that hooked up in the next couple weeks. I would like to get my own, or have my own podcast studio. I do use a virtual background on my normal show, but eventually I would like to have a little studio set up as well. So there's things that I'm still looking to improve upon. I do want to get a new opening video and intro and stuff like that, small stuff like that. Now with graphics, I've tried Canva, and that's not one of my strong suits. So sometimes you have to know your strengths and weaknesses. And for me, graphics is not one of my strengths, and I've tried it. So I'd rather have somebody who's more experienced with graphics to help me out too. So you have to keep an open mind and know your strengths and weaknesses as well.
Well, I got your back. We coming. We bringing the champions, all-star team up in here. Okay. So, my next question is I want to ask you. So, you talked about a few transitions, like your work divorce, when you began with social media conferencing, your realization of things are changing. If you can give advice to you 20 years ago, you today, what would you give the 20 years ago to you advice? What would be the strongest piece of advice you could give yourself or someone in your position?
Step out of your comfort zone and also find your passion. For many years, I just didn't know what I wanted to do. So I went to school for lawn security, and I got a job in security for 23 and a half years. But it, for me, I just didn't know what I wanted to do. And some people, they know what they want to do early in life. And for me, I didn't. So as soon as I got a taste of that broadcasting bug 6+ years ago, I haven't let it go, and this is something I like doing, and I really enjoy doing this, and I just this is just something I love, and especially like even when I'm not working, I'm creating content. Yesterday, I was in Toronto for a hockey game. I got tickets from somebody that I used to know, connections. Connections and networking are huge in any career, not just media, radio. And even when I'm not working, I'm using my phone to create content. I'm constantly creating content, and I love doing it. It's not really work when you enjoy something. My other career at the end, wasn't fun. Like, I was getting paid, and don't get me wrong, money's important, but it just wasn't a passion of mine. And I would just tell the younger myself is, and don't stop learning. Like the last few years of my last job, I wasn't learning, and I would tell my younger self, never ever stop learning, whether you're in a classroom or whatever. And sometimes you need a change. And I admit I got complacent at my other job because it was comfortable. Like, oh, he's been here for 2 decades, the money, the benefits, and that. But at the end, it wasn't what I wanted to do. This is what I love doing. I love talking to people and listening to, and guess what? This experience about listening is not just for media or radio. It's any career. Listening is just as important, if not more important, than in the talking aspect. Mindset too. You're going to have people that believe in you, but you're going to have people that belittle you and put you down, and they want to see you fail. So you have to have a strong mindset. You have to believe in yourself before anyone else can believe in you.
Right. I think those people that will put you down, it's a reflection of how they feel about themselves. So you have to let how you feel about you be even stronger. I love when you started saying, I wanted to prove them wrong, right? Like, I remember the 5-year-old me, right? And I remember the 15-year-old me, and I remember the 20-year-old me, and the 30 and the 40, and now the 50-plus-year-old me. And they were different iterations of me. But I know me better than those people know me. And so I want to just celebrate you, Chris, because you inspire me to remember, like, look, it's who I say I am. And I just want, if we can get anything through to, I know we had Nicole on tonight as a guest watching us. We had Julius. Julius is my cousin. Chris Weathers. Chris, I think, is out of Jamaica. Hey, guys. And I just want, when we decided to do TAPIn, or I forced it on Rich. When I forced it on Rich, what I wanted to do was create a mindset community where we would hold each other accountable to strengthening ourselves, right? Because there's nothing more defeating than the people you love being against you. So I thought, can we have a community of people who hold us accountable to being our best selves? And I know that that's an inside job. Like, sometimes it feels really hard. It feels really difficult. Um, but if you just have one person that goes, I believe in you, I see it. That, like you said, you talked about Eric. That makes such a big difference. So I think Rich fell asleep. Wake up, Rich.
I did not fall asleep. I'm listening intently as always.
Wake up. So
No, I'm listening and you're talking, so I'm listening.
okay, good. I'm gonna crack my whip. I'm gonna let you ask a question in a minute, but I want to ask Chris one more question. So overall, what is it that keeps you outside of proving people wrong? Is there something? Do you meditate? Do you pray? What keeps you grounded? What's your core? Do you have a core? Do you read? What do you feel you
I just
can always refer back to?
I just love doing what I'm doing. I love storytelling. I like learning. I like connecting with people. I do volunteer work with a local humane society twice a week, walking dogs and fundraising for them. I also do public speaking once a month for local high schools. And I want to try to kind of motivate and inspire other people. And I don't let people tell me I can't do something. I want to do this because this is something I love doing. I have a passion for this, and I people should not judge me. Judge me on the quality of my work and not based on my age and stuff like that. So this is something I want to do because I do want to prove people wrong, but I also want to do this because I love doing it. I love meeting people. I've had people on from 8 different countries around the world, including the UK, Germany, Switzerland. I have audience listening in 55 countries, and my YouTube channel just hit over 500,000 views. I know it's not a lot, but it's baby steps, and it takes a lot of work and effort. And I feel I'm now ready to be on radio, and if not radio, to build my brand up. And the thing is, you have to be willing to put in the work and put in the time and have a passion, and I've shown that. So, and I by the way, I have two other shows, one strictly football with a younger co-host. His name is Nick. He's half the age of me. I'm the older guy, he's the younger guy. We work well together. And my other show, the Small Talk podcast, it's a once a month entertainment show with my co-host Maureen Sherb. So I've had female co-hosts, younger male co-hosts. I can work with co-hosts no matter if they're male, female, whatever sex they are. And I also can do shows on my own as well. So I feel I've done everything I need to do to get into radio. And learning is huge as well. And work ethic. You can be talented all you want, but if you're not willing to put in the time, and the reason why I get the guests I get, they see how hard I work and how much work and preparation. I just don't believe you should be doing this. And just if you're going to do this, do it the right way. And for me, I treat every episode like I am getting back on radio, and that's how I see it.
Thank you. I love it.
So, Chris, I have a question. Oh, go ahead, Nikki.
Wait a minute. I'm trying to do my wait.
I know what you're trying to do. I'm waiting on you.
I'm trying to say thank you, Chris. Come on, Rich, give it to me.
All right. So, Chris, you made it tantamount to us to understand that you are a hard worker and that you are going to prove a point no matter what it took. But I would like you to go a little deeper on this, because the demographics of our audience, as they continue to grow at this point, I'm sure it's going to be more diversified. But I want to know, what was that moment? What was that defining moment when you realized that, okay, I'm tired of what I've been doing. This is what is happening now. I'm going to change today, and nothing's going to hold me back. Describe that to us so that our audience could also, who may be going through the same thing that you went through, can understand it's okay to move in another direction, or more importantly, to pivot to your power.
Be honest, the volunteer work was a huge reason why I got into this, doing the camera work. But a year before the volunteer work as a camera operator, I was on a bus trip to New York, and we stopped at NBC Studios. And at NBC Studios, they had a 5-minute video sketch of being like the late night host, Jimmy Fallon. And everybody did not want to be the host. And one person in that bus trip put their hand up to play the role of Jimmy Fallon for 5 minutes. And we actually were recorded on NBC cameras and everything. And I did it. And that kind of was really my first taste of the broadcasting bug.
Nice.
And then a year later, I volunteered, and that turned me into a camera operator. And they actually paid me for it, which shocked me. And then I ended up going to a camera operator. But just getting a taste of broadcasting, 2019 kind of started this all, and then the volunteer work. And then sooner they started my podcast. I love going on air. And I did a lot of shows originally by myself. And then eventually I had one guest, and then two guests, and then 600 plus guests on my show. And I love doing it. I like connecting with people. And I think my former career really prepared me for this, because in security, you have to deal with a lot, and you also have to think on your feet, and you have to listen. I had one show where my guests could see me, but they couldn't hear me. And instead of canceling the show, I ended up typing out the questions to my guest, and she answered it. And a lot of people didn't realize there was an issue. They didn't realize there was some kind of issue. And you have to learn to think on your feet. And sometimes there's shows where things don't go perfectly. You can't panic. You have to learn how to pivot. Or I've had a couple of guests cancel on me at the last minute, sometimes for family emergencies for good reasons, or sometimes where they just decided they didn't want to come on. You have to learn the show has to go on. Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is you have to learn to pivot. And things in media don't always go smoothly. In TV, which I've seen as a camera operator, and also in the radio industry too. So you always have to be prepared. And if a guest, and sometimes guests can be late. So you can't just like delay the show until they come on. Show has to go on. Or I've had guests where they've had trouble using StreamYard, and I've had to work with them and show them how to get on. So you just have to, the word I'm looking at is you have to be able to pivot, but you also have to be flexible. When you get guests, you have to be
Right.
flexible. You can't just say, nope, only this day and time. That's it. You have to be flexible. And guests love when you're flexible because then they remember that going forward.
So are you willing to share with us the worst experience you've had up to this point that turned out to be the best moment of your life on podcasting?
Well, I don't want to mention the one guest. This one guest I promoted and wanted them on my show, and they just didn't bother showing up. And I tried to reschedule with them, and they kept cancel. So I just finally gave up on them and moved on. And it's like I don't want somebody on my show that is a time waster. Just like with
Right.
me, I respect all my guests. I would never commit to having a guest on my show and then not show up. I guess the one episode a couple years ago, I was supposed to be on another podcaster show. I don't want to mention his name, and he decided he didn't want to do the show that night. And I asked him what was wrong, and he said, "Oh, I was tired. I just want to sleep." And I'm thinking that is unprofessional. Like if you know what I mean. So I just decided
Yeah.
to wash my hands of him, and it's like don't be a time waster either. I value all my guests' time just like I want them to value my time. And things do happen where they have to cancel for reasons. If you have to, I've only had to cancel 2 shows in 600 plus episodes because of
Wow.
for a family emergency or there was something going on. I get back to my guests, they understand, and I reschedule with them. But if a guest cancels on me for whatever reason, I leave it up to the guests to get back to me. Never beg, never chase for guests to come on, and that's how I see it from my perspective as well. Like if the host has to cancel, which it can happen, things happen, then they need to be responsible enough to get in touch with the guest. But if the guest cancels on you, then they need to get back to you as well. It's a team effort. It's a team effort. And the thing is, I never want to waste people's time. I appreciate everybody's time. And if a guest can only give me 15 minutes, I make it work. If a guest can give me an hour, so be it, or 2 hours, so be it. So you have to be flexible, but you also have to you have to know your worth and never let people waste your time. And to me, in this profession, any profession, you never want to waste people's time. Be sincere, be yourself, and never chase or beg people to come on your show. And I realize this too. I might not be everyone's cup of tea. So you got to learn not to take things personally as well.
Right.
Ooh, I like that.
Amazing. That's good stuff. Good stuff.
You are the GOAT, Chris.
I'm still a work in progress. Still
We
have a lot more to
We
work
all
and
are.
improve on.
We all are.
You are
And
the GOAT. Whatever you like.
And one thing too, some of the guests they've had on, I always had a perspective, oh, they're gonna have big egos or attitudes. They're the nicest people, so keep an open mind for every guest that come on. And also, whatever career you're in, and if you do have success, don't let it change you. I find a lot of the guys that have made it nationally in media, they're down to earth, humble and that. But sometimes the ones that are in your area, local, they're the ones that can have like the attitude and that, and you shouldn't do that. And the thing is, I want to pay it forward to others. I've had people pay it forward to me when I started. I want to do the same thing, and I just think any career you
Beautiful.
need to keep a level head. Don't ever think you're better than anyone else. I'm not saying not to be confident in that, but don't be cocky and don't be arrogant, and keep an open mind to every guest. And sometimes people are not what they seem like on TV and radio. They can be totally different.
Yeah.
That's
Very
amazing. That's good. That's good stuff right there.
Thank you.
We're
Very
wrapping
good. Very
it
good
up.
stuff.
I got some fun questions for you, Chris.
Okay.
Ready? This is the speed round.
The speed round.
Okay, so I so admire. I so admire your ability to just say, look, this is what I'm dealing with, this is what I'm not dealing with, right? What is your hardest, what is your greatest obstacle?
Right now, trying to get more sponsorships. I'm trying to get more companies to say, hey, you don't have to advertise on live radio. You can advertise on my live streaming platforms. I'm on 21 platforms. I have I'm well connected with guests. I have very good shows, good conversations, and most importantly, I have good credibility. That's another thing too. Whatever career you're in, you need to be credible and professional as well. So I would say that's my number one challenge right now is to try to get more advertisers. I don't like saying sponsorship because it means they're just giving you money. So I say advertisers because they advertise their business on here and they market themselves on here. So when you say the word sponsor, it's kind of like they're giving you money just to help you out. I don't like that word. I like to looking for advertisers and the thing is live streaming is powerful. This show is not just, I'm based in Guelph, Ontario, which is an hour from Toronto, but it's internationally. People from the States, from
Right.
China, Russia, whatever, without getting into politics, countries from around the world, 55 different countries are listening to my show. I still have a lot to improve upon, a lot to get better and improve at. But this show is not just local. It's basically I can do more for an advertiser than a local radio station can, in my opinion. And
Yeah,
I'm not against traditional radio. I just think they need to open their minds to say, hey, guys who can do live streaming broadcasting can do radio. It's the same thing.
well, I feel like it's just like the university system. Traditional institutions are going to attempt to keep things traditional, but the reality is things are changing. So,
Evolve.
so
Evolve.
evolving. So those people who are evolving, like you said, there's no need to get mad. Just continue to evolve. But the old Reich is not going to change because that's their way of job security, right?
Unfortunately, times are changing. You see the radio industry, the newspaper industry shrinking because
TV,
things evolve. Yes. Hmm?
it's all going to change. So I believe that we are in a great position, especially being authentic, right? So you have a larger audience. Um, you have a niche that no one can touch because nobody could ever be you. No one can ever be me. No one can ever be rich. And we also have each other's back. So I believe we're in a great position. So I believe we just, like as you said, we have to continue to be consistent and continue to be professional. So for
Chris,
the
Chris, let me jump in here for a second.
yeah,
Chris, you said something that caught my attention that I think would help our audience about credibility. When you're first starting in this career field, give me an example what you would deem as credible behavior and behavior we should avoid at all costs.
Credibility to me is when I'm talking to a guest, I want to make sure I read their bio, do the homework, but also too, I look up numbers. I want to make sure when I'm talking to people about a story going on, I want to make sure I fact check. So
Right.
when I'm writing my game night stories, I want to make sure I fact check statistics. I also want to make sure I get players' stories right. I don't want to write a story and get anything inaccurate. I want to be consistent and concise as possible. And it's the same with my talk show too. I want to make sure my guests are credible or you have credibility and also fact check and make sure things are correct as well. And one thing I also wanted to mention too is name pronunciation. That's one thing I've improved upon. But when you're on a show, I've been on some other podcasts, the people got my name wrong and they couldn't care less. And I'm like,
Wow.
people do make mistakes and I've gotten guest names wrong by mistake, but I apologize and make sure I work on it. So I always pride myself, if I'm not sure how to pronounce a person's first name or last name, I ask them or I use Google and try to get the correct pronunciations. So never assume. And also credibility to me is making sure whether you're writing stories like I do or you have guests that you fact check and make sure you get the right information. If you don't care and you're just spreading out facts and rumors and stuff like that, your credibility is gone and people will see it. Every show I do, whether 10 people watch it or 1 million people watch it, somebody's out there watching it. And if they see that this guy just makes up stuff, they're not going to want to come on my show, or they're not going to want to watch my show. So credibility and professionalism is huge in whatever you do.
Well,
Thank you.
I'm going to
That's good.
apologize right now because I do have problems pronunciating or enunciating. So, because Rich said Pomay,
It's Pomay. Yeah.
it's Pomay.
Yeah.
And I say Pomay. I don't know,
Pomay. It's
but
okay.
I do know we have Dr. Robert Taylor watching, Amir watching, and I do want you to know, Chris, what I'm trying to build is a group of creatives, content creators, people who are already artists, writers, singers, poets, visual artists, who just need that little extra bump. So I thought, who better than you? Someone that can give them that burst of um, sincere, authentic confidence that we need to cross the hump, right? The part of us that analyzes ourselves and says, you know what, I know who I am. It doesn't matter who someone else says that I am. So I'm okay with you correcting me. I always tell people everything I know, I learned from doing something the wrong way. But my
Be
heart is
yourself. Be
my heart
yourself.
is in the right
Yeah.
place.
Always be yourself. And if you do make a mistake, it's okay. One of the guys from TSN told me, Chris, when you try to be perfect, that's when more mistakes happen. So if you do make
Yes.
a mistake, learn from it, grow from it, and don't beat yourself up over it.
I can't wait till we can have a party and we can all dance and we can have fun and celebrate. So I'm going to set a deadline. So this is October 3rd. So can we give October 3rd next year that we can have a really big party, maybe in Canada or maybe in Miami, somewhere in there that we can celebrate our successes and our unity and learning from each other. Is that a deal?
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Rich, wake up. It's 7 p.m. Central Time,
8
8
p.m.
p.m.
Eastern. Eastern
Time. Chris, I'm going to let you close out. Rich, y'all don't want me to hit the air horn. We want some closing. And I really appreciate Chris did bring me on his show. He was as everything he said, he was professional. He was on time. He did the promos on time. I am just completely enthralled with what he has presented. I haven't met anyone in recent years who can come close. So I know we are still developing, but I just want to give him his props. So thank you again, Chris.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And that's what I love about doing what I'm doing. I've made a lot of connections and networks, but also friendships too.
A friend of mine said recently, they don't think that you should present something until you've kind of got a flow. What do you feel about it? Do you think it's okay to say, hey, I'm planning on doing something even though it's not quite developed? Do you think you should wait until you have the momentum to publicly announce this is what's to come?
I think you need to go with your gut feelings too. You have to learn to go with your gut feelings too.
Good answer.
That's how I see it. And by the way, I've had a show with guests on, and I had them on, but I just told them up front, we can't talk. There's certain things, like I try to keep it an open platform too, but I also learned to go with my gut feelings and instincts too. So if I don't feel comfortable with a guest talking about something, I kind of will like change the subject onto something else, because like I said, it takes years to build a reputation, but it only
Right.
takes seconds to destroy it as well. So I always tell people, whatever career you're in business, always go with your gut feelings. And if you feel like something's not right for you, then you should listen to your guests. And sometimes the guests aren't right for your show as well. So it's not just I might not be somebody's cup of tea. Sometimes I guess that you might just not be the right person for my show, which hasn't really happened that much.
I agree. Well, I really look forward to the partnerships that we're going to have. And I want you to close out, Chris, with this is some people say never be afraid to reinvent yourself. What do you say?
I'm gonna basically say I've reinvented myself. When I was younger, I didn't like public speaking. I didn't like being in front of crowds, and I've reinvented myself. I've gone from someone that's shy and scared of public speaking to now I'm very comfortable talking in front of high school kids. I'm comfortable talking on camera, uh, at a stadium, being in front of people. And when I was younger, I was afraid to talk to celebrities, people that I kind of idolized, athletes and that. Now I talk to them like we're talking now. I just look at everyone as a human being. I don't like, oh my God, this guy's a Hall of Fame player, or this person's a celebrity. I just basically I'm down to earth and I talk to everyone like they're down to earth. I treat people the way I want to be treated, and I don't treat people based on, oh, this guy's got $1 billion or this guy's not very wealthy. You know what I mean? I don't be judgmental. Don't be judgmental and be yourself. Don't try to be somebody that you're not.
I would think you leave the door open and be human. So I want this is my last thing. If you are inviting a guest, do you offer them money right off, or do you wait and
No,
say,
no, I've never paid for a guest to come on my show. Never had
Oh,
a,
okay.
and I've had some guests wanting to pay me, and I'm like, I've never done that. I prefer to not, I for me, I prefer to get my money coming from my advertisers on my show. I don't charge people to come on my show, just like I've never paid to have a guest come on my show. Now there was one guest that was with a dog rescue group in the States, and I believe in their work with working with dogs. So I made a contribution, but I didn't really pay for them to come on. I just wanted to support it's called Gideon's Guardian Foundation. They rescue animals and they get them adopted or fostered into good homes. So the one guest I made a donation on their behalf for coming on, but to help what they're doing with dogs. So that's really the only time I've and it wasn't and the guest wasn't going to come on because I didn't do that. I wanted to do it myself. So and I'm just trying to continue to build my brand and get my name out there. I want to have a good reputation and I want people to know that I'm professional, I'm hardworking, and I take this very seriously. And I really enjoy doing this. And I can have a good sense of humor as well. So,
you do have a good humor? Give it up for me and greatly appreciate you being with us today. I'm checking for questions in the chat. I do know we had several guests on. Chris, are there any closing messages that you want to leave for our guests today? Just on the obstacle is the way, understanding your place in your own growth.
well, first of all, I want to say thank you to you, Nikki and Richard, for having me on. And for people who are changing careers, strong mindset, believe in yourself, block out the noise and the haters, and you have to be willing to put in the work in the time. You can't just
Yes.
expect things given to you. Whatever you do in life, you have to put in the work. You have to put in the time. You have to learn from your setbacks, and things aren't always going to go smoothly, and you just have to evolve. You have to keep evolving, and probably a year from now I'd like to think I'm going to evolve more over what I am now as well. So don't give up. If you have a passion, don't give up. You just have to keep working at it, and sometimes things come quicker for others than years. And one last thing I want to say too for people watching, don't compete with other people. Don't compete with other people, compete with yourself. Work to be
Right.
better than you were the day before. Don't worry about what other people are doing. Just worry about yourself and continue to grow and continue and to improve and evolve and just work ethic. Make sure you're willing to do the work, and you can have talent, but if you don't want to work, you won't succeed as well. And never be jealous of others' success. be happy for them, because the way I look at it, karma too. I believe in good karma. Just like when I'm successful, I don't want people to resent me or be jealous. I want them to be happy for me. So you try to be happy for other people's successes as well. And everybody's story is different, and sometimes people have quicker success than other people. It's just a matter of time, and life's like a book. One chapter closes, a new one opens, and that's the way it is in my life. I'm 53 right now. I feel good, and I'm hoping to be doing this radio media work for as long as I feel up to it. I This is something I want to do, and I know what it's like to be complacent in another job, and just sometimes you need a change. You need a change.
Yes, I agree. I love you, Chris. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me on, Nikki and Richard. And I do love to talk, but I also have learned to get better at listening. Listening is a huge, whatever career people are, whoever's watching this right now, whatever career you're in, make sure you're a good listener too. That really helps in any career.
Well, Rich, do you have any closing words? Chris, what I want to encourage people is to listen to their own heart, right? To listen, because sometimes we get so caught up in other people's thoughts and ideas. Any closing words, Rich? Do you love Chris? Rich, you want to give Chris a hug?
Can I do my own closing, please? Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Chris, I want to thank you for being so honest, so clear, so straightforward in your answers. Because when you're beginning a new endeavor, one of the greatest things that I ever experienced in my life was mentors. And they help depress decades into days. And when someone can tell you exactly where you need to go without the fluff, or you're trying to figure it out like it's a Rubik's Cube, it's a wonderful thing. And some of the answers that you gave today, not only have they touched me and helped me have a clearer understanding of where I need to go in this career field, I'm sure that as people review this and they hear it, it's going to be a staple in their lives on how they should change from where they are, where they're feeling that they're not achieving what they want to, and make a pivot to a better lifestyle. So I give you honor and praise for showing up and actually being so clear in your messaging. Thank you so much. I
You're
truly
welcome.
appreciate you.
Well, thank you, Richard. And also, I wanted to say this to you and Nikki. Besides, thank you. Whatever career you're in, if you start getting complacent, then it's probably time to move on to new career.
Right.
So, whatever you do, don't
Yeah.
be complacent. And if you do become complacent, it's time to move on as well. And I just love connecting with people. I like meeting new people. I've been very fortunate, and I love what I'm doing. And tomorrow I'm going back to Toronto again to do some media work for a professional football team. And I love being at the stadium. I talk to fans, I talk to the cheerleaders, I talk to the coaches. People come up and recognize me. I had a 14-year-old boy come up and ask if I was Chris Pomay, and I said, yeah. And he goes, I like your work. And people that I idolized in TV and radio, they come up and they recognize me and they remember me. And it's such a great feeling. One of my former bosses from my other job, I ran into him a couple weeks ago on the field doing media work, and he was generous enough to give me a couple tickets to a hockey game in Toronto last night because I he remembered me and liked me from his days in my other job. So this is another thing too. Never burn bridges. And
That's
sometimes
right.
people that step out of your life, you might see them in another profession, and now he's running all the professional sports teams in Toronto, and he remembered me from my days as a security guard, and he would always remember my name, talk to me, and he's so happy for what I'm doing now, and that's what I love. I'm not doing it to get a pat on the back, but when people recognize you for your work, it continues to motivate me, and
It's
and, and I love
valued.
it. Yeah, absolutely.
But before you leave, I have one more thing that I would like to ask before you leave, and
Okay.
this is a surprise to Nikki. Can you name one thing that you wish Nikki or I would have asked you that we didn't?
Who are some of my favorite interviews, or maybe who are some of my most challenging interviews?
Hmm, interesting.
Well,
or
tell
my,
us.
or content, being a content creator as well. Some of my favorite interviews, Dan Schumann, from the Toronto Blue Jays, ESPN. The Philly Fanatic, the gentleman Tom
Yes.
Burgoyne, the Philly Fanatic's been on my show. I've had guys that have been guys from different sports leagues. I've had actors, actresses come on my show. Chris Spinelli and Nino Sciamino, they're actors from California. When they came on my show a year ago, they had an earthquake right on our live stream show.
Hmm.
So stuff like that. And Mia St. John, she came on my show, and at the end, she really opened up to me. And that's another thing too with guests. When you do your research on your guests and you find something that really affects a guest, that can open up a guest as well. Sometimes it just takes one or two questions and a guest will open up to you with you. When somebody doesn't
Right.
know you originally, I want my guests to feel comfortable. And sometimes if they come on cold, I just try to ask good questions, intelligent questions, and learn about them. And then people can open up. Sometimes people take a little longer than others to open up. So my attitude is, for me, my style of interview is be yourself, be genuine, be sincere, and also be empathetic to your guests as well. And yeah, and so my best, yeah, Mia St. John's, I really liked her, and I think I probably could get her on my show again as well. She had an amazing career as a 5-time women's boxing champion. But I shouldn't say I have a favorite interview. I've had a lot of most memorable interviews and stuff like that as well. And I learned how to do interviews from my other job in security, and that career, even though I left it, kind of prepared me for this.
I had a question, Rich. If you can pit one Canadian sports team against a U.S. sports team, who would the two teams be?
For
You
what?
asking
Like
me?
what?
Football.
For baseball?
Football. We like football.
Football? Football? Okay. Well, the CFL has 9 teams. The NFL has 32 teams. CFL is a bit different than the NFL because it's only 3 downs instead of 4 downs, 12 players to 11. But back in the 1950s, the CFL and the NFL played exhibition games against each other. So if there could be a CFL NFL game right now, I would like to see the Toronto Argonauts, 19-time Grey Cup champions, take on the Philadelphia Eagles. So those are my two favorite professional football teams,
Oh,
the
So
nice.
the
Philadelphia Eagles
Argonauts in the
and the
East.
Eagles. And they're both champions. They're both champions.
Okay.
Yeah.
And their organizations are first class and stuff like that. And I love football. I love Canadian football. I love the NFL football. I love college football. And I love the differences. And I it's just, to me, I love sports because it unites people. Everybody can have different teams, but in the end, everybody's united. So
Yes.
to me, sports is a form of therapy as well.
Well, I vow that I'm going to get deeper into sports because what I do appreciate is athletes push themselves beyond what most normal people do.
Yeah.
And back to as creators, even if we don't like it, numbers tell a story that sometimes our emotions go somewhere else. But athletes understand more than anyone else. The results, they measure by results,
Yeah.
not by feelings, right? And so you
No.
can't dispute that. So I'm gonna work on getting myself some U.S. athletes, and then I want us to do like a Canadian versus talk to guests.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So I'm gonna that's gonna help me push what our guests are. Rich, wake up. And we're gonna ride out right now. But thank you, Chris, so much. You are the GOAT in our life, and I'm like you may not even realize it, but thank you so much.
Oh, one thing about content creators, sometimes you can create content that you think will do well and it doesn't, and then sometimes you create content that you think, this will never go well. So don't assume, just do the best you can with content creating, have fun with it, and sometimes it'll go well, sometimes it won't. I know with YouTube the short videos go better than the long videos, but just do it for what you want to do. And if you're a podcaster and you're new and you see people aren't watching or a lot of views, don't worry about that. Worry about producing good shows with good guests, with good storytelling, good information, and the views and the numbers will come eventually. Don't always
Yep.
focus on that. Focus on
Yep.
yourself and your guests or even your solo shows. That's my opinion. and just enjoy what you're doing and take one episode at a time, and don't always look at the numbers. Same with TikTok too.
Chris, what do you do with guests that are asking you to be on your show, but you may feel you're not sure if they are a good fit?
I'm honest with them up front, and I tell them, I if you want to come on my show, no political talk, and I'm not against religion. I'm religious. I believe in God and all that, but I just want the guests come on. I just want I want their stories and their careers. I just I'm upfront with them. I just want to avoid the politics and any religious talk. I'm not against it. I just want to make sure the show is on them. I want to make sure it's on their story and career and stuff like that. Sometimes if they say shit or sorry, not shit, but if they say a profanity word, it's okay. But if they're a guest that likes to use swear words constantly, I'm
Right,
going to tell
right,
them that's not appropriate. When I
right.
was on a radio station, I had to worry about the FCC rules, but I kind of like my shows to be known as clean. I don't want shows that are known as dirty or questionable guests.
I agree. I think if you have to go that far to make your point,
Yeah.
maybe you don't have a point, right?
Yeah.
So
So you're not always going to be a fit for your guests, and sometimes your guests are not going to be a fit for you. So you have to do your research on your guests too. When you pick somebody to come on your show, do a little homework on them first and see if that's a good fit for your show.
thank you.
I hope that helps.
Yes, I can't wait till we have a party in a year or less from now, and then we can measure our results. So, Rich, give it up. I know you don't want to kiss Chris, but say thank you to the GOAT of our time. Thank you, Chris Pomay, and we're gonna look to keep seeing you. Come on, give it to me. Give it to me. And say
Thank you
hi to
so much.
Brenda. Brenda was
I'm giving
on.
it an ovation. I'm letting you finish your long goodbye.
Okay, don't yell at me. I'm sensitive.
I'm not yelling. I'm not yelling. You're accepting it
I
as, but
don't
I'm
like
not.
your tone. Okay. Chris,
Thank you so much.
yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Richard and Nikki. Continued
Great. That
success
was
on your
great.
podcast show. And could you send me a copy of this video after?
I sure will.
Of
Thank
course.
you so much. It was a pleasure. And Nikki, I
Great.
hope to have you on my show again. Richard, thank you so much. And
Yeah, thank you.
continued
You're great.
success.
You're great.
I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect. I'm far from it.
But you're great.
Right, but you're
Wow.
the GOAT, though. But you're the unperfect GOAT. Give yourself a round of applause.
Well, thank you so much.
All right, good night, everybody. If you have questions with Chris, please put
Good
them in
night,
the chat.
everybody.
Good night. Good night. Thank you for having me on.
Chris, where your dance at? Chris, where your dance at? Dance it
Thank you
out.
so much.
Great show. That was
And I'm
fun.
actually gonna go to bed early tonight too.
Me too.
I need to listen to my body.
People go to bed early.
The late nights are getting to me. So I should have brought up this too, work-life balance. Sometimes I work too much, and sometimes you need to take a break because you don't want to get a burnout as well.
Not sometimes. I was just reading how if you really love and respect yourself, the more regular you can get your routine is more aligned with success. So hopefully we can encourage each other. Let's get on a routine that respects our temple, ourselves.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me on, and look forward to watching the rerun of this. Is this going to be on audio or just on Facebook?
Right now, we're exclusively Facebook, so we're learning how to let each platform be its exclusive self. Because Facebook doesn't like it when you like polyamory thing. So we're gonna be just with Facebook here, and then we'll do other things other places.
Okay.
But thank you, Facebook, and thank you, Chris. And
Thank you so much, Nikki.
All right.
Pleasure talking to you, Richard and Nikki, and continue success. And we'll try to catch your next episode next Friday night.
You know it. No, wait, where's the shoes?
Wow. Nice.
All right.
Nice.
Night, everybody.
Thank you so much, Nikki. All right.
Love you.
Talk. You too. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much, guys.
All right. Night night.
Okay. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.